The streaming age has led to a saturation of content. You have to wade through even more bad shows to get to the good shows these days, but some streaming shows are perfect from start to finish. Netflix has led the charge with shows like Adolescence, Baby Reindeer, Mindhunter, and BoJack Horseman. But all the other streaming services have flawless gems of their own. Disney Plus has Andia, Hulu has Reservation Dogs, and Prime Video has I'm a Virgo. Mythic Quest Apple TV. Rob McElhenney and Megan Gans's follow-up to It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia was a complete tonal 180. Mythic Quest replaced the cynicism, pitch-black comedy, and terrible people of Always Sunny with optimism, light-hearted humor, and kind, lovable, good-natured characters. It's an interesting peek behind the curtain at the video game industry, and it's also just a solid workplace sitcom. Peacemaker HBO Max. It initially seemed unnecessary to spin off John Cena's Suicide Squad character into his own series, but Peacemaker ended up being the key to getting DC back on track. It solidified James Gunn's ability to humanize these comic book characters and tell human stories in the context of this heightened superhero-infested universe. Peacemaker is funny, moving, and a great showcase for Cena's range. GLOW Netflix. Glow is a love letter to the campness of professional wrestling, a nostalgic look back at the brightly colored flash of the 1980s, and above all, an ode to artistic expression. A wrestling show was not any of these characters' first choice for a creative outlet, but after being thrown together and tasked with creating a wrestling show, they turned it into something beautiful. Paper Girls Prime Video. Amazon sent its adaptation of Brian K. Vaughan's comic book Paper Girls out to die. It barely advertised the series, and wasted no time cancelling it after the first season dropped. And it's a shame, because it was a really great little show. It follows a lovable ragtag group of kids on a time-traveling adventure that brings them face-to-face with their future selves. The Boys Presents, Diabolical Prime Video. The Boys and its other spin-off, Gen V, started out really strong, but they've both stumbled at different points throughout their run. The animated anthology, The Boys Presents, Diabolical, might have been considered a throwaway addition to the franchise, but it's also the only series in this universe that doesn't have a single bad episode. The writers and animators let their imagination run wild. Dark Netflix. Baran Bo Odar and Janch Freeze's confounding sci-fi thriller Dark is the closest thing I've seen to a modern-day Twin Peaks. Much like Twin Peaks, it's a perfect marriage of small-town soap opera and chilling supernatural mystery. The writers paid close attention to detail, even as they had several timelines to keep track of, and created a rewarding, twist-filled viewing experience. WandaVision Disney Plus. Most of the Disney Plus shows spun off from the Marvel Cinematic Universe have either been forgettable, like The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, or outright disastrous, like Secret Invasion. But they got off to a great start with WandaVision. WandaVision is both a love letter to the history of the sitcom genre and a touching exploration of grief. It's the furthest thing from typical Marvel spectacle. Our Flag Means Death HBO Max. Set during the golden age of piracy, Our Flag Means Death tells the unbelievable true story of a gentleman-turned-pirate as he sets out to make a name for himself. Rhys Darby is one of the funniest people on earth, so he's always a joy to watch, and the show itself is a delightfully subversive take on the well-worn swashbuckler genre. The Queen's Gambit Netflix. The Queen's Gambit took the world by storm during the pandemic. Anya Taylor-Joy gives a star-making turn as a troubled chess prodigy struggling with addiction and trying to save face in the public eye. Writer-director Scott Frank did the impossible with The Queen's Gambit. He made chess riveting. This is filmmaking at its best. One Day Netflix. Unlike the previous film adaptation, Netflix's 14-episode version of One Day had the time to really bask in David Nichols' sprawling love story. The series chronicles 2 decades in the lives of on and off lovers Emma and Dexter. Ambika Mod and Leo Woodall share incredible on-screen chemistry that really sells this touching romance, and the writing flits seamlessly between heartwarming and heartbreaking. I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson Netflix. No one else is doing comedy quite like Tim Robinson, and no one else could if they tried. I Think You Should Leave is a sketch comedy with a singular comic vision. It allowed Robinson to indulge in all the hilarious ideas that were much too surreal or shocking or esoteric for his tenure as a writer for Saturday Night Live. A typical I Think You Should Leave sketch begins with a relatable everyday situation, like being jealous of someone else's dinner order, and escalates it to a completely ridiculous place, like stealing their food and threatening all the witnesses. I Think You Should Leave is a wonderfully deranged comedic creation. Baby Reindeer Netflix. Richard Gadd turned his own experiences into a deeply personal study of the trauma of assault and abuse. Baby Reindeer tells the powerful story of a bartender who unwittingly attracts the attention of a deranged stalker. Gadd goes back to show what led to this haunting battle of wits, and interrogates his own past with a brutal, probing honesty. I'm a Virgo Prime Video. Boots Riley emerged as one of the world's most exciting new filmmakers with his debut feature Sorry to Bother You, and his follow-up project, Prime Video's wonderfully surrealist miniseries I'm a Virgo, maintained that surprise factor. It revolves around a 13-foot-tall black teenager in Oakland as he leaves his home and discovers the outside world. It's a social satire with a huge heart. BoJack Horseman Netflix. The title character in BoJack Horseman might be a talking horse, but he's more human than most of the other characters on TV. Raphael Bob Waksberg's series started out as an absurdist cartoon set in a Far Side-esque world of anthropomorphized animals leading mundane lives, but it quickly evolved into something much more profound. BoJack Horseman is one of the preeminent dramatic explorations of mental health. BoJack struggles with addiction and self-loathing, his ghost writer Diane struggles with depression, and his mother Beatrice suffers from dementia. It touches on the motivation behind self-destructive behavior, and the consequences of it. The series goes to some really dark places, but it's ultimately a cathartic experience. Pen 15 Hulu. Maya Erskine and Anna Konkle's Pen 15 is a coming-of-age comedy like no other. It's set up like a typical teen show, with a middle school setting and a supporting cast full of child actors, except the two lead characters are played by women in their early 30s. It's a unique gimmick, but the show never draws attention to it. Erskine and Konkle's performances are authentic to the naivety and innocence of teenagers, and the writing perfectly captures the cringe-worthy horrors of the teenage experience. The two stars play their 13-year-old selves in the year 2000, and once you've gotten used to it, you forget you're watching two adults playing kids. Adolescence Netflix. Jack Thorne and Stephen Graham's smash hit miniseries Adolescence is both a deeply disturbing procedural and a poignant look at the psychological impact that social media and the manosphere are having on teenage boys.